Thanks for watching. Today we have Dr. David Lipman, and he's a chiropractor at Physical Evidence Chiropractic in Boca Raton, Florida. How are you doing, Dr. Lipman?
Very good. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you tell me more about chiropractic and how you got into the industry?
Oh, sure. Well, pretty cool story. I'd never even heard of chiropractor growing up. My folks never went to them. They were more medically oriented. And when I was 15, I had a motorcycle accident and actually crushed two vertebrae in my neck, which, because of the circumstances, I kind of hid. It's fortunate that I didn't break it or disable myself enough to, not have that choice. But a few years later, by the time I was about 19, it really started giving me a lot of problems. And I was working at a Nautilus center back then. Nautilus was like a thing, and there was a young chiropractic intern in New York from the college nearby that was working out there, and he saw I was having trouble with my neck, and he said to me, what's going on? I was like, I've been having trouble with my neck. And he said, well, maybe you should come in and see me in a clinic. I said, well, what do you do? He said, I'm a chiropractor. I said, what's that? So he kind of explained it to me, and he was a big guy in great shape, very outgoing, and just felt that it was, I just felt drawn to see what it was all about. And so I went in, got x-rays. He showed me how my neck had been broken, which I actually hadn't known previously because I kind of hid the whole incident from my folks because I was supposed to be on a motorcycle back then, much less running from the police. But anyway, um, it it gave me an eye-opening situation to see what was happening inside, and then getting my first chiropractic adjustment was like one of those aha moments, like wow. And I was supposed to be going into my dad's business. He was a plumbing manufacturer, and then all of a sudden, I get this adjustment. It totally fixes, my pain, and I'm just drawn into that direction. And at that point, he became my mentor. He was inviting me into the clinic not only for treatment but for teaching me, taught me about X-rays, showed me adjusting. That was before I even started school, so I really had a great hands-on experience and an early orientation from being a patient first and experiencing that. And that's really what kind of drew me into it. So that's what got me here.
Wow. That 15. That's crazy. What's your favorite part of chiropractic?
I think the favorite part for me is to be able to deliver something that for me is effortless.
Mm.
It's a manual, hands-on thing that for me seems to be very easy, but the impact it could have on somebody's pain syndrome, quality of life. I love it when people have gone all these other directions and have had no results, and they come in and in one quick or two quick sort of sessions give them hope again that they're not doomed to live like this. And I've also had other injuries throughout my life. I've ruptured a disc in my lower back. I actually had my shoulder separated when I was 5, but I've never had surgery. And each incident has kind of taught me about the body's anatomy and really how to rehabilitate things. And so, I've been exercising since I'm 10 years old, and it's really helped me understand the interaction between, function, strength, flexibility, and all those things. And then taking that sort of experience as a patient and being able to bring that to my patients, it's been very effective. Kind of a unique set of circumstances that has evolved the way I practice. But again, getting those insights through myself and then having all these other patients to work with, and then being able to deliver things to them that they haven't been able to get elsewhere. That's I think that's probably the most rewarding thing for me.
And what's your least favorite part?
Well, I would say it had been for a period of time just the third party reimbursement. When I first started in the 80s, everyone had good insurance. Never really thought about it. You build it, you got a check in the mail almost for the exact amount you build, and it was good. It was a pretty easy system once you sort of got going. And I remember getting my first check. It was for I think it was for 6 visits or something, and it was like $360, like the whole amount I billed. And the guy who was my mentor ended up being the first office I was in. I rented space from him. He said, frame it and put it on the wall. He says, you might not see that for the rest, for the rest of the career coming in like that. And this was like 1989, and he was, well, actually 1988, but he was right. As the 90s rolled around and managed care and HMOs sort of took over the insurance industry, and all of a sudden our fee schedule was drastically changed. And of course,
Mm.
our overhead didn't change overnight, but the fee schedule did. So that's when I realized when a third party decides how you get paid for what you do, it's not going to work out in your favor very much. So I had struggled with that for many years, and I actually had stopped practicing for about 6 years when I first moved to Florida
Mm.
back in 2005. I kind of had it, and it was at that aspect of it, working very hard, putting a lot of myself into it, getting good results, but then not getting the reimbursement and having to fight harder and harder to get that money just got me so frustrated. And years went on, and I learned more techniques and started to integrate things, whether I learned them in a particular seminar or just things that I've just tried on my own and just kind of came to me that came to be successful. It's evolved into a very um, interactive, interdisciplinary kind of approach. Where I integrate many things, and I didn't want the concern about getting reimbursed, uh, for the treatment to affect what I knew people needed to get the results that I wanted to get. So I had to make that decision that even though people pay money for insurance each month, as do I for my family, um, I had to go to a cash practice and just build the value in what I do, into that, so people would see the difference. And very fortunately, and maybe because here in South Florida, it seems that many of my colleagues have a somewhat of a, let's say, more of a one-dimensional approach. Most everybody that's come in here that have been to other chiropractors that I've seen have said that they go to chiropractors. They usually get electric stim and hot packs on the painful areas. Spend about 20 minutes doing that. Sometimes they might be on an automated like massage table or something like that. And then the chiropractor spend about 3 minutes adjusting the spine and they're out the door. That's not my approach. My approach is very hands-on. I use different modalities, and it's all FaceTime with me. I usually spend about 30 minutes with people, a little bit longer the first time to get to the bottom of things. But regardless of where the pain is, I'm always working on the entire body because I know how interactive the body is and how everything affects everything. Also, where you're feeling the pain is not where it's coming from, it's where it's ending up. So understanding all those things, really has given me an insight to create a very effective treatment plan, but I can't get paid enough for the time I spend with insurance. So that's why I've really gone to just a cash-based practice and just kind of, again, build the value and set myself apart from what people seem to be used to down here. Mine's more of a dynamic, integrated thing versus like a passive thing. And I don't just do the spine, I do the extremities, full body. And anyway, those are the things that I've done to sort of overcome the least favorite part of the practice, which was that third party reimbursement and sort of that trying to dictate how I practice. I couldn't do that again.
Gotcha. So most businesses struggle with basically one of four areas, and it's either money, time, people, or passion. And so would you say that it's money in chiropractic?
I would say so because I love being here. I love what I do. I feel at the end of the day that I've done something good. I feel accomplished. Look forward to going in. It's just, I would say, the reimbursement because of the model. Again, people expect their insurance to pay, but I have to always explain to them, either I'm going to practice the way I know I need to practice and give you what I know you need, or I'm going to let the insurance dictate and I'll spend 5 minutes with you, but that's not going to get the kind of results I want with you. So people understand it. Not everybody can handle it, but those that can, unfortunately, I'm in a good demographic where people can do it and see the value in it.
So speaking of demographics, is there a specific demographic that's the hardest to work with? Like, what would you say? I hear a lot about millennials.
Well, millennials, I'd say that for the most part, the ones that I've been fortunate to be experiencing have been, they have jobs, they work. Many of them are, in the fitness sector, whether it be CrossFitters or Spartan racers or triathletes. Here in South Florida, it's always nice out. So, sports and fitness is always at the top. And when I first came into this practice here in South Florida, there were 4 other chiropractors in the same shopping center. So I had to figure out a way to set myself apart. And I did it by going to many of the fitness centers and the gyms around the area, got to know the trainers and some of the owners and had them come in and let them see what I do. And if they've had experiences before, I was able to show the uniqueness of what I do. And so that kind of started me off. So a great deal of my demographic is that fitness industry, but it's not just millennials. It's definitely people there's people in their 80s that work out, which I love seeing because, that's that's good for me at, almost 60
Hmm.
years old to know that in 20 years I could still hopefully be able to do that and,
Wow.
free and functional. I work with a lot of the young athletes at some of the high school levels and junior high school. I'm dating myself. Middle school level. I've been fortunate to have gotten into that. Soccer players, volleyball players, basketball players. It's funny. A lot of the girls too. They play very hard. They come in all banged up and patch them up, and they go back out and go get banged up again. But they love it. So that's another great demographic. And pregnant women. That's another one. So there's a good array of different demographics of people. I like them all. I try to have something to offer each level, but I'd say that the tougher one was just the seniors, just because of the Medicare thing. Again, coming back to insurance.
Okay. So, transitioning a little bit, how would your family and friends describe you outside of work?
How would they describe me outside of work? Well, I think I'm pretty much the same everywhere I am. Like most of my patients, if not all of them, they might call me Dr. Lipman the first time, but I encourage them to call me by my first name. Let them say Dr. Dave or Doc or David. I like the sound of my name better than I like the sound of my title. And so that's I guess you could say down to earth. This is me, whether I'm in my office, whether I'm working out of the gym, whether I'm with my family, doing something together. I'm pretty much always consistent. I tend to be laid back for the most part, but being a Taurus, sometimes I can get to that point where I see red and I can puff up a little bit. But as I've gotten older, I've been able to realize that that's all. It's best not to do that. Doesn't end well. But I'd say people who see me, consistently in all aspects of, my life for the most part, I think.
So, what are your passions?
Well, definitely, doing this work and, helping people. Being a father is a huge passion. Being a husband's a huge passion. A son and a brother too. I think the two most important things to me are, my family, God, and just doing what I think is my life's purpose here. I mentioned God because in recent years I've drawn myself, or I've felt drawn closer to God, and actually, started praying and all those things. And ever since I have, life has gotten a lot better. I pray for my patients every morning because the way I see it, I'm just a mechanic and I can't heal anybody. So if any healing is
Mhm.
going on, it's got to be coming from above. And I acknowledge that. And I tell people, because when people say, "Oh, you're magical," or something, I say, "No, it's not me." I say, "He's just working through me."
Mm.
And so that makes life a little bit more passionate too, because it's not all about me, and I don't feel that that's something that you know is really good. I mean, everybody, I think we all have gifts, and if you're lucky enough, blessed enough to find the gifts that you have and make that your vocation, then I think that doesn't get really much better than that. I talk to people all day, so my socializing pretty much during the day is with my patients, and then after work's done, it's with my family, and that's my life. It's pretty simple in that sense, but I like it that way.
So, what is your long-term goal? Like, what is a successful life for you?
Well, I'd say, I've already got the success. I have
Mm.
work that I love doing. It's very rewarding and fulfilling. Not that there aren't challenges. I mean, the financial, how do you grow? How do I increase my capacity to see people, which I'm working on now? Um, as an example, just to make a quick one, I started looking at FAU. They have internship programs. So I'm starting to bring in some interns to actually help me with some of the things that I have been doing, but I don't necessarily need to be doing, which can now increase the capacity of how many patients can be seen in a single day without sacrificing, the quality of care. So that's, something, because ultimately I want to grow to that point where maybe my methods and the success that I've had, I can pass on to somebody else that might be a right fit. I'm almost 60. I feel like I can easily work for another 10 years, but I don't know how long I'm going to live. And I think at some point I'm probably going to want to have a little more free time to enjoy. I have 4 children. There'll be grandchildren. And, I have 2 bonus grandchildren right now as the first start. But, quality of life, simple things, good time with the family. And that's pretty much it. Success, I'm a happy, content guy. So I feel like I'm already successful in that sense.
That's awesome. Where can viewers learn more about you?
You can go to drdavidlipman.com or physicalevidencechiropractic.com.